What's going on, everyone? The Golden State Warriors are in the NBA Finals. Many of you are probably already aware. And whether they win or lose, a big question is arise, which is, should they trade or keep Jordan Poole? And now, right off the bat, I know many of you are thinking, no way, why would you trade Jordan Poole? You gotta keep Jordan Poole. But there's many things that go into this. Now, the Golden State Warriors have been in the luxury tax for several years now and are just burning away money. Now, of course, they're winning championships, they're in the finals. The ultimate goal is to win, right? But when it comes to Jordan Poole, they need to extend him. They need to give him a bigger contract, and he is going to demand as such. But with that, they also have Steph, they have Clay, they have Draymond. They got to figure out what they're going to do with Andrew Wiggins because he's only got one more year on his contract after this year. So do they trade him? Do they keep him? Andrew Wiggins has been arguably their most consistent player in the playoffs next to Steph. He has been huge on the defensive end and even the offensive end. And even yesterday in Game 4, he was huge for them. So do you get rid of him? And with Jordan Poole, as great as he is, his trade value is probably higher than it will ever be. And he is really inconsistent. Now, the problem is he's a liability on the defensive end in many ways. Now, he's young. He could develop. He could get better. He's still long and lengthy. So there is the potential there for him to grow as a defender. But the Golden State Warriors are in win now mode, right? Steph and Clay, they're only getting older, right? And you could trade Klay Thompson, keep Jordan Poole, but Clay, he is that clutch guy still. We have seen him, Game 6 Clay and all of those things. He still is a great defender. He's not what he used to be, but coming off of all the surgeries and injuries, you'd imagine that it's going to take him some time to get in the swing of things. Next year, I do expect him to kind of be in a better shape, better position than he was even this year, which is scary to think about. You still have Draymond Green. He is the heart and soul of the Golden State Warriors in many ways, although I could argue it makes sense to kind of trade him. He's kind of been a non-factor in the finals and kind of been a liability in many ways, but Draymond does so much for this team besides what he does in the stat sheets, and his contract and the type of player he is, I don't think the pool for which they would try to trade for him is very big. I think it's going to be a small pool. And so, no pun intended, the Jordan Poole trade makes the most sense in trying to, utilize the hype around him right now to get a real quality piece for your future, whether you keep Wiggins or not. The beauty of the Golden State Warriors is even though they're in the finals, they have so much value in young talent as well as guys that are, the mid-tier guys like Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole. You have, Moses. You have, Moody. You have, Wiseman. You have Kuminga. You have all these guys that could be very valuable to another team, especially a rebuilding team or a team that maybe needs to hit the reset button. And the Golden State Warriors are in the position of like, hey, let's win championships. Let's do this now. Because that's always the ultimate goal, especially with Steph. Steph is only getting older. And don't get me wrong, the Golden State Warriors want to be, the sort of Patriots or the San Antonio Spurs where they have this young talent pool that can keep growing and be another Jordan Poole, right? No one expected Jordan Poole to be the breakout player that he was this year. And that is credit to the Golden State Warriors and their culture and their system and all of those things. And that's the goal with the younger guys is to, be contenders for several years. But that's never guaranteed. I mean, even dynasties, we've seen so many teams that were supposed to be dynasties that never came to be. And you're not going to likely get another Steph, another Clay, and another Draymond on the same team. Even the young guys that they have, like Wiseman, he missed the entire season. He's a big question mark and concern. You have Kuminga, who has potential to be a great player given his athleticism, his skill set, things like that. But still, a very young, unknown player, where the Warriors could get some mid-tier talent that has potential with the talent around them and still be competing for championships for years to come. Because realistically, outside of Steph and Clay, yes, you have Wiggins and you have Draymond, but Wiggins likely isn't going to be on this team in the next 2 years. And Jordan Poole, yeah, he could be on the team, but I just think you could get so much inherent value. Draymond Green has a max. Clay has a max, Steph has a max. You're kind of locked into those three guys. Andrew Wiggins, I think, is a huge potential, which, who knows, maybe he would take a pay cut to stay with the Warriors, but realistically, some team is going to give him 20 plus million, where the Warriors, likely, are you really going to want to pay that much for Andrew Wiggins given the luxury tax you're going to be paying? I mean, they've paid like $1 billion in luxury tax over the last several years. That's a lot of money, even for a successful contender. And as great as the Warriors are, being in the finals and very likely could win this finals, even if they do win it, I know that the idea is to let's run it back. And next year you very well could run it back. But realistically, it makes sense to kind of build for your future, but also your current, right? You have Draymond, you have Steph, you have Clay. That's your core. Those are your three that, you build your franchise around from day one, and you continue that. Maybe trade a Wiggins to go get maybe several key role players. A team might take Wiggins or even just his contract, right, to alleviate. We've heard lots of discussions about Westbrook being traded because teams would love his contract when it expires. Wiggins could be the same thing. The only difference is you get a guy that actually is really good and could be your second or third option on a legit contender. And so there's value there with Wiggins. But Jordan Poole is he is the highest valued player that they have on that team. I mean, even Clay, I think that there are a lot of teams that would trade for Klay Thompson, but he's a big question mark too. Is he great because of the system? Is he going to be able to hold up given his injury history? He's older in age compared to Jordan Poole. And so it makes a lot of sense to kind of put that as your main centerpiece and just at least see what bites. Like, for example, what if you could get a Bradley Beal, right? He's young enough to where he has several years for his future. He fits the timeline for win now. I mean, if you could package like a Wiseman and a Jordan Poole and, maybe a Kuminga or a Moody and go get a Bradley Beal, that's a guy that you're likely going to win more championships with, right? I mean, even Kevin Durant. You could throw out Kevin Durant out there, right? Let's say the Brooklyn Nets do trade Kyrie Irving, right? There's a lot of talks of Brooklyn kind of being done with Kyrie, and maybe they do want to get rid of his contract, and Kevin Durant really does want out because he's like, the only reason I came here was to play with Kyrie. Maybe he'd go back to the Warriors. I know that there's a lot of friction, a lot of issues, things like that, but the Warriors need size. He was great with the Warriors. They were essentially unbeatable until basically the entire team got hurt. But I'm saying, you have enough young talent to go get another star that could have you be a contender now, but still be young enough to build your team around for the future. And especially Bradley Beal. All the conversations that he had in the recent Bleacher Report interview, he talked about his number one priority is winning over the money, over everything. Now, we've seen players say that and ultimately take the money. Now, that could very well be the case, but if he really does value winning, what better franchise right now to go to win right now than the Warriors? I mean, it's true. Whether you love the Warriors or not, the reality is this team is in the finals every year. The only year that they didn't go to the finals was the entire team was hurt, right? And the only person they had was Steph. And Steph almost single-handedly took them into the playoffs. And then they lost to the Lakers, right? So that's the thing. I mean, they are in and out. They are the new San Antonio Spurs in many ways. They go to several championships, they have a year or two where they don't, and then they're right back into the finals again. But the beauty is they have these young pieces that teams like the Wizards, if they were to trade Bradley Beal, what are they going to do? They're going to start rebuilding. And if you could get a Kuminga and a Wiseman along with Jordan Poole for a Bradley Beal, that's a great rebuild for Washington, and it's a great pickup for the Warriors, right? You get a guy that can be a go-to scorer, that can create his own shot, that can facilitate when need be. He's a guy that's unselfish, that can play defense. I mean, he's the perfect fit. Or even if you just go a smaller route, right? Say you get like a Miles Turner. The Golden State Warriors, one thing that they've always lacked is size. They need size. And Miles Turner, yes, obviously you'd need to get a little more for Jordan Poole than just Miles Turner. I understand that, but I'm just saying, for an example, say a Miles Turner who is a free agent, he could come in, maybe you swap Wiseman and Moody and something along those lines, maybe throw in like a second round or a couple second rounds, go get a guy in Miles Turner, and now he can come in, plug and play, be your center, block shots, play defense, because the Warriors ultimately need size. And whether they beat the Celtics or not, the Celtics have exposed that they're small, they're tiny. And we've seen this entire playoffs, with the exception being the Warriors, but the Warriors are just another level. No other team has a Steph, has a Clay, that kind of thing. So outside of the Warriors, all the teams that have been successful all have size and are big wings, right? They have multiple wings. So if the Warriors could go get a Bradley Beal and maybe like a KCP or something like that, to where you just got another defender guy, you very likely are going to lose Wiggins in the near future. You're probably going to lose Porter Jr. in the near future, things like that. So to go and get a guy that could be a win now player, but also young enough for your future to kind of fit in when Steph is in his twilight years, things like that. Not just that, but the beauty of Steph, he is such a great shooter. He could literally play until he's 40 and play this, Ray Allen type role where he's just there to just distract and knock down shots. I mean, he'd be perfect for that. And now you build around like a Bradley Beal or whatever the case may be. It's just something that's food for thought. And, that being said, as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think? Should the Golden State Warriors trade Jordan Poole? Do you think that they shouldn't? Do you think that they should keep him for the long haul? Maybe trade everyone else and try to go get another star? I just think if you have the opportunity to get like a Bradley Beal and you're giving up Jordan Poole, as great as Jordan Poole has been, you can't argue he's been very inconsistent and he plays zero defense. I mean, he tries. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. He tries, but he's not a very good defender. Now, could he learn to be a better defender? Absolutely. But his value is so high right now because he had just this incredible year that even with his inconsistency in the playoffs, teams are going to take a chance on him. And so I just look at it as like, take advantage of the player you have now, trade him for your future. Even though Jordan Poole could be argued for your future, but the problem is we don't know if he could sustain this for years to come. So do you want to risk it? And maybe he becomes the next, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, third splash brother? Or do you trade him now and then you're still in win now mode? You go get like a Bradley Beal or something like that and you're ready for your future. You're ready to win now. You're likely in the finals once again. I mean, with Steph, Klay, Bradley, and then you go get a center. I mean, this entire free agency coming up has nothing but centers. So you can easily get a veteran minimum center or two, and there you go. You're probably right back in the finals once again. But anyway, love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot, lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, follow by the bell notification, stay up to date with all things sports, join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.